Hi everyone, it is once again theory time. Today I have a request, and I know last time was basically unsolicited, nobody asked for it. This time somebody asked for it. My friend Matt asked me on Twitter, he had a very specific theory question that he wanted me to cover. Matt is an amazing violinist and a viola player. You should follow him on Instagram. His handle, I'll write it in this post. But we appreciate this question from Matt. And it goes like this. He asked, why does a C minor 7 flat 5 over F going to B flat major work? Is it kind of just an F dominant with a bunch of suspensions? And is there a logical way people think of stuff like that? Or think up stuff like that? There are several angles you can come at this from, and I love this question because the simple answer to kind of the first question that he asks if it's an F dominant. And in order to kind of know what that means, we have to get into a little bit of how the major scale works. And so, I don't know, we'll try this thing. So if we play a B flat major scale, the notes are B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G, A, B flat. And you can make an entire video on the functions of the different scale degrees, as they're called. We number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 1. Not 8, because we already had 1 down here. That's an octave, okay? What is special about the scale degree we call 5, 2, 4, 5. What's special about it, if you listen, this is a perfect fifth. And remember, we discussed these in the last video where you have, it's the second interval in the overtone series. You have this perfect octave from B flat to B flat, and then from B flat to F is a perfect fifth. Okay? And over time, in the Western music tradition, we have collectively decided that it is super satisfying to go from 5 to 1. I think most of us listening to that would agree that it sounds very satisfying. It sounds like we went somewhere. It sounds like we were gone on a journey and that we came back home. It sounds like the ending of a song. It sounds like bells or something like that. That's the crux of his question. When he says F dominant, that's kind of what he's asking. And to kind of develop that idea a little more, the draw to go from dominant, as we call it, to tonic, or the home tone, the home pitch of B flat, to make it even more of a strong draw, you add harmonization. And so you can add more chord members on top of F. And if you remember, we can actually apply the principle of the harmonic series to F as well. So if let me pull out like this. We have F, F, C, F, A, C, and then the next tone is E flat, right? If you remember, this is known as the dominant 7 chord. And part of why that is, in fact, I would say the only reason that is because it's used in what we call the tonal system to go from the chord dominant to the chord tonic. If you add the root. Obviously, I can't play with both hands because I'm holding you guys with one hand. But there's always a harmonic and a melodic element whenever you move from one chord to the next. And that's very relevant when we're discussing this question that Matt has. So if you notice, let's say we voice our 7 chord this way. When you rearrange the notes, it's called voicing. So let's say we start with F in the bottom, F, C, E flat, A. Kind of want it to go somewhere, right? This is very suspenseful. Now what happened there is you had the A on the top. The A wanted to go to the B flat, because melodically that's what's closest. Here we had this E flat. That definitely wants to go somewhere. The closest pitch to that is D natural, sorry. And our other pitches were F in the bottom, the bass, and C there. Here we have C. C is kind of an ambivalent note. It doesn't tend overly strongly in either direction, because these are two whole steps on either side of it. That's for another video maybe. But it can go to either our D or to B flat. Okay? So those are kind of the basics of what he's asking. So that is the essential function of a F dominant chord. What gets more complicated is when you, like I said last time, you can stack thirds on top of a pitch, and you know you have one set of notes here. You add another one, and then eventually you come back around. That's how you create jazz harmony and other extended harmonies. So what happens is you get 9th chords and 11th chords and 13 chords, and that creates, you know, it adds a whole new world of possibility. And so let's hear for example how Matt's chord progression sounds. And I'll do it again with blocked chords. It's a nice progression, Matt. There are several things happening, like several things. So like I said, I think the most basic one is this bass movement from F to B flat. Okay, that's a strong one because we have that dominant to tonic relationship. You know, that's what we want to happen. The craziness begins when we add this note, which is, he mentioned it has a flat 5, which means that we take the 5 of the C minor chord and lower it. So we started with this C dominant 7, we lower the 5. And what we're getting into now is ambiguity, and kind of you can call it a shortcoming, or you can call it one of the colorful aspects of music theory, that there are always more than one way to analyze. And so what we have here is, we have it over an F, the C minor flat 5, 7 chord. But another way we can analyze it is all one chord. So if we start on F, F, A, C, E flat, G flat, B flat, what we have here is a major, minor, minor, perfect 9 chord. I'm sorry, 11 chord. So what that means is, it's really, you can analyze it either as the C minor flat 5 as he did, or just as one chord, and that we left out the A. In which case we kind of have answered our own question, that it's just a dominant chord with some spice added, right? Okay, that satisfies me. Another option is that it could be drawing some of its strength from the plagal cadence. And the plagal cadence comes when you have a different harmonic progression, which is from the bass note 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, to tonic. This is known as our amen cadence. Everybody knows it that way. Okay, that's an example of one. That's a satisfying motion as well, because it also involves the 5th, you know, or rather the inversion of a 5th, which is a 4th. If you look, if you can go down a 5th from our tonic note, that gives us that plagal sound. What this could be, it could be a borrowed plagal cadence going to a major B flat chord, which means basically, so these are the notes in our B flat major scale. Yeah, there's also the B flat minor scale, obviously, which exists in a few different forms, but here's the melodic form. Okay, if you noticed on the way down we had a G flat. That means that's part of this key of B flat minor. And what's interesting about this chord C minor 7 flat 5, it is what we call diatonic. It means you don't have to change any of the pitches in the written key signature in order to get this. And to me, that progression works pretty well by itself. Normally, we don't like the sound of moving from a 2 chord, which is C minor and B flat. It's a 2 chord. It's usually considered a pretty weak harmonic progression, but it works okay in the diminished form anyway, because we have these interesting half steps going on, or at least one. I think generally people would prefer a 7, diminished 7. Has a little bit more drama, or what we could call an F. You know, major, minor, minor, 9. And all of those things are kind of being implied by this chord that Matt brought up. And so it's kind of this interplay of melodic concerns and harmonic concerns. And that kind of plays into the last third of the question. He asked, is there a logical way that people think up things like this? It's trying to balance harmony and melody, because you want people to be able to follow each individual line as these notes kind of move from one to the next. But it also has to sound satisfying in accordance with kind of the auditory rules of the harmonic series, right? He mentioned suspensions. Suspensions are a specific kind of dissonance. A lot of music students will know what I'm talking about. And maybe by ear, people that enjoy film scores will recognize this sound. A suspension is when you introduce a dissonance like this that's intended to resolve downward, okay? So a lot of times they come at the end of like a song phrase. You know, you come to where they're ready to move on to the next phrase of their melody, and so you have something like this. This dissonance here, the whole reason it's there is to go somewhere and become a consonance. And so what Matt is asking is he's asking these pitches that are dissonant, are they trying to go somewhere? Are they just suspensions? And to that I would say some of them are. So you've got this note, you could argue, is a suspension of going to this F. It would depend on how you get there, because suspensions are normally arrived at by repeating the note. But anyway, that's an argument you could make. This E flat functions as a suspension to the D natural. And then we could say that the C moves downward to the B flat, and that's why that works to the ear. And then obviously we already covered why F to B flat sounds satisfying. Okay. I would say that's just about all that I have to say about that. I mean, I'm sure that I could come up with all kinds of other crazy ways to kind of analyze this, but it's been a lot of fun kind of exploring this and all the different ways that people have found over the years to explain why music sounds good and how best to describe it. And so I would say thanks so much, Matt, for the excellent question. And you guys all need to follow his Instagram page, Matt That Musician. And hopefully I will see you guys again for another theory video very soon.